Thanks for meeting with me, Saravi. I just wanted to talk to you some more about the concerns you're having with Derek. I got your referral, and so I just kind of want to review with you what you think is going on with Derek.
My main concern with Derek is his reading. He's just not completing any of the reading assessments in class. Therefore, he's not really passing any of them. And this is causing low motivation in class, and he's not participating as much. Just showing no interest when it comes to reading, and it just really concerns me. And that's why I put the referral in place.
So do you feel like this is the motivation issue, or do you feel like it's a reading issue?
I think it's more when he is reading long passages, because he's struggling to get through those passages or stories, and then it just increases the level of frustration. But overall, Derek is very well-mannered. He's just a good student, a pleasure to have in class. It's just when it comes to his reading, I just see a different Derek.
What kind of books is he reading?
Derek is still reading picture books, and even with the picture books, he's struggling to get through and finish the books.
So I saw in your referral that his oral reading fluency is 40 words per minute. That's pretty low for a fourth grader. Yes. What's his accuracy?
Right now he is 90% accurate, which is, his accuracy is pretty good. It's just the fluency part is significantly low, because he should be around 90 words per minute beginning of fourth grade.
So it kind of sounds like maybe fluency is your main concern, you think?
Because he is decoding. When I do read with Derek, he seems to be reading just fine. It's just he really just struggles with the pace.
So he's able to read the words when he reads with you, but just not get through it.
Yes.
What do you know about Derek's reading background?
Well, I know in the past Dad's been really supportive. He really helps with the reading at home and reads to Derek and goes over homework and has Derek read to him. And looking over his file, he seemed to be a little behind with his reading in years past. And his teacher last year said that he's pretty excited and enthusiastic about reading, but right now I'm just not seeing that in Derek, and it just concerns me. I want him to have a successful year.
So what have you tried in the classroom for fluency interventions?
Well, with the reading program that I use, we have fluency practice in each lesson. So we read together, we do an I do, and the kids read together, they pair up and read. And then I also send fluency practice for homework, and then I check it the next day. But it seems as though it's not enough for Derek. He's just not responding the way I'd like for him to.
Well, what we'll do is we'll focus on a fluency intervention for Derek. We'll meet with the team next Wednesday. If you could contact his dad and have him come, do you think he'd be willing to come to the meeting?
Absolutely. Mr. Hollingsworth is very supportive. According to his teachers in the past, he's always been there at meetings and very supportive. And actually, I got a chance to meet with Dad before, and so he kind of has an idea. I've mentioned my concerns to him, so I'm sure that he will be able to come. I'll just notify him.
Okay, and then we'll meet next week.
Next Wednesday?
Next Wednesday.
Great. Okay, that sounds great. Thank you so much for meeting with me.
Mr. Hollingsworth, welcome to our meeting.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Mr. Hollingsworth, this is our problem-solving team, and the focus of our problem-solving team is to target specific interventions to both support and accelerate student success, academically and behaviorally.
Saravi and I have previously met and consulted on Derek, and we've just talked about a lot of his strengths and then the area that we're here to meet today with his reading. So, Saravi, could you go ahead and speak to Derek's strengths?
Well, Derek has many areas of strengths. He is decoding, and he is fairly accurate when he is reading. He is highly motivated in class. He loves to learn and interacts with his peers fairly well, and just a pleasure to have in class. Our area of concern is his fluency, and we are afraid that where he is right now, it may impact other areas of his academics if we don't give him the appropriate support. Right now, he's at 90% accuracy and reading about 40 words a minute. That's significantly low for fourth grade. He should be at 90 words a minute, and that's why we're meeting today to discuss some strategies and what we can provide for Derek to support him in this area.
And Sravi has already done a wonderful job of providing interventions and support in the classroom. She allows him to have extra time to complete his work and his assessments. She also provides oral presentation for him on assessments, which means that she would read to him the questions and the problems, and he receives that in all of his groups. And he also gets small group instruction for reading and for math every day. So he's receiving a lot of support that way. He's often allowed to respond orally to tests, and he does a fabulous job there. Today we're discussing mainly the concern with his reading fluency. Since he is reading significantly below where he should be, we want to put something in place to support that.
How is his motivation, and does he enjoy reading at home?
He enjoys reading, and I have before school care for him and after school, and they do the bulk of his math and homework like that, but I save the reading. And what I do is I wake Derek up about 6 every morning. I have to be at work at 7:30, but we start reading about 6:15, and he reads to me, and I help him with any difficult words that he might have. But I do this because if anyone asks him any question or they want to test him on any of the reading that he was supposed to have read the night before, we do it in the morning so it's still fresh in his mind.
So as a team, we need to kind of look at what we have available and what resources we have to support Derek in fluency.
Okay, looking in our resource book, there's, you said he liked small groups, and there is a intervention called auditory modeling, and that would be where he's in a group with his friends, and there's several different ways you could do it. You could have assisted reading, paired reading, core reading, even echo reading, and it would give him an opportunity to be able to hear other people reading fluently and a chance for him to practice reading fluently.
Well, we do actually something very similar to that in class with the curriculum that I'm using. Kids are paired off and they're able to read to each other and practice their fluency. What I'd like to see for Derek is maybe place him in a group where there's a teacher that can model the reading and then also give him the repeated practice that he needs.
Yeah, Derek really enjoys extra adult attention, and so he really thrives and would probably show more growth with an adult modeling the reading rather than a peer.
Now, there is one in here where it would be repeated readings, and with that one, the interventionist or the teacher would read the passage, and the students would follow along with their fingers. And then, as a group, you would all read, and this teacher interventionist would guide that. And the final reading would be just the child reading silently, alone.
Okay, and Saravi, that sounds similar to the group of children I have in the back of your classroom right now, where it's a model read where I do, and then a we do where the children are reading along with me, and then a you do where they're timing themselves accountable for what they're reading to each other.
Now, you currently have 3 students, I believe, that you pull
Correct.
during that time. Would you be able to add Derek to that group, or do we need to kind of change the group around a little bit, or
No,
how
I
would
think
that
he
work?
would fit well within that group, because basically with this fluency instruction, they are reading a passage that is significantly lower than their grade level to just enhance that automaticity of their reading. So he would fit in that group nicely and get that adult modeling that April has suggested.
So how often do you come into Sravi's class for that intervention?
I'm in there 4 days a week
Okay,
and for 15
for
minutes.
15 minutes?
So when you're progress monitoring the group, that's kind of below grade level.
Correct.
Okay.
The passages they're reading are at an independent level.
Okay.
And so the progress monitoring would be grade level, progress monitoring for oral reading fluency, and you would do that once a week?
Once a week.
Once a week.
And I think that measure would just give us an idea on how well he's generalizing what he's learning in the intervention to the classroom material.
That's great. I think that's wonderful, because Derek will be able to see his progress in his independent reading level, and then we can also see data where it relates to where he is in his 4th grade education.
And his baseline is 40 words per minute, and his target being 93. His gap would be, what would his gap be?
It's So if we have 93 divided by 40, you said? Mm-hmm. So his gap right now currently is 2.3.
Okay, Mr. Hollingsworth, we'll go ahead. Do you have any questions for us?
No, I don't.
Okay. I'd like to give you this consent form. If you could sign this, please. This just states that you understand the intervention that we're giving Derek and gives your permission for us to put that in place.
Not a problem.
And what I will do is kind of clean this up and print it out and provide you a copy with that.
Thank you very much.
Now, if Mr. Hollingsworth should have any questions in the meantime, who should he contact?
You can contact me, or you can also contact Saravi, the classroom teacher.
All right, thank you very much.
We will schedule a follow-up meeting to review Derek and his progress in about 6 weeks.
Okay. And that will take us to just before break. So we'll have a review meeting at that time.
And we'll notify you when that meeting is and the time.
And I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming in.
And thank you all for all your help and support. I appreciate it. Get my son where he needs to be.
Well, thank you also, Mr. Hollingsworth. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, let's go ahead and start our fluency instruction. Go ahead and put your finger on the first word. This is an I do. Deserts are very dry lands. They do not have much water. Back to the beginning, and this is a we do. Let's begin.
Deserts are very dry lands. They do not have much water. The temperature in a desert is both hot and cold.
Okay, go ahead and switch boards. This is a you do. Timers, pick up your timers. Ready? Begin.
Deserts are very dry lands. They do not have much water. The temperature in a desert is both hot and cold.
Switch your boards back so you have your own board, please. Okay. All right. Derek, I'm going to go ahead and give you progress monitoring for the fluency with this passage. While I'm doing this, I'll have you guys follow along as Derek is reading. Okay, finger on the first word. Oh, Derek, let me go ahead and go over this with you quickly. Remember when last time we read up here with 154 words a minute, okay? So what we're going to go ahead and do is your goal is 115 words a minute. Remember, we're staying above this aim line, so one more time and you get to go to the new story. Is that exciting? Okay, all right. That finger on the first word. My readers are ready, and you may begin.
Deserts are very dry lands. They do not have much water. The temperature in a desert is both hot and cold. Deserts are very hot in the daytime, but they can become very cold at night.
Okay. Okay, dear, so what you've done here, you have 137 words. 137, 38, 139 words is what you've read today. Nice job, Derek. So what we want to do is stop here with between 130 and 140. Move our finger over. Go to the next one. Here's the pen. And you're going to grab your results, so you'd be right about, just right under. Whoops, right on this one. Right under,
here.
right here, right under 140. Nice job, Derek. Good job today. Derek, you've been doing such a wonderful job with your fluency. I'm going to go ahead and progress monitor you now on a grade level passage, okay? Now, please read this out loud. If you get stuck, I will tell you the words so you can keep reading, okay? Do your best reading. You ready? Begin.
Last summer, my family took a great train adventure. My mom and dad My sister Rachel and I live in Minnesota.
Okay, Derek, looking at this passage, okay, we've stopped right here. The only thing I noticed right here is you omitted the 2. You said pulled in the station, so I just put the circle to omit the 2. You stopped here. Derek, this is excellent. You have read 75 words a minute at your grade level passage, so your fluency instruction is really working. I'm very proud of you.
We're meeting today to discuss Derek's progress and to discuss his intervention before we do our 6-week review meeting. So Tanya, can you kind of explain to us how Derek's been doing?
Sure. This is the progress monitoring graph that Derek and I have maintained during his fluency intervention that we've put in place. And if you remember right, it was the I do, we do, you do model, where Derek has provided many opportunities with rereading. And Derek's first read was at 46 correct words per minute. And then once we start with this baseline, we add 40 words for a goal. And as you can see, each time with Derek's opportunity for rereading, he has increased progress with that passage. Once he targets the goal 3 times, we move on to a new passage, which puts us here. The most incredible thing about this intervention is that Derek has taken control of it. Derek has ownership in how he's doing and performing, thereby in putting the aim lines, he understands that he needs to be above this aim line each time. And with this one, he knows his aim line is 115 words. Therefore, each time he'll come in before we progress monitor, and he'll ask where he is, and then he'll challenge himself, saying, "I'm going to go above it this time," knowing that after the 3rd time, he gets to go to a new story.
Now Tanya, this is a below grade level passages, correct?
That is correct. This is an independent reading passage, so that we can really enhance that opportunity for Derek to have the automaticity for his reading.
So how's he doing on the grade level progress monitoring?
Yes, and as we had talked in our meeting, at the initial meeting, we had talked about monitoring the 4th grade with a 4th grade passage. And I've done that as well. And I went ahead and drew his aim line for his established goal of 93 correct words per minute. And as you can see, Derek has challenged himself once again in staying at this line or above this line. Therefore, when I saw this occurring, I went ahead and took him to another level with 118, the year-end benchmark for his 4th grade level. And as you can see, he's now striving to get to that next aim line.
Now, Sravi, what are you seeing in the classroom?
I'm seeing some improvements in Derek's reading. He's showing more enthusiasm when it comes to reading, better attitude overall, and that's nice to see as a teacher. He was getting frustrated at the beginning of the year with his reading and struggling to get through his assessments, and with the extra time that I provide him now, he's and seemed to do much better. And he really enjoys being part of your small group every morning, so that's very nice. And this the graph that you provide him is also another nice piece where he can actually see how he's doing and kind of keeping track of his own progress. So a lot of times Derek will come and show me his progress and say, "This is how well I'm doing," and it just really shows the enthusiasm and increases the motivation for Derek. And I'm very pleased with how he's doing.
Great. Well, it sounds like this intervention is really working for Derek. Is there anything that you want to change?
Since it's working right now for Derek, I don't see any necessary changes. I would like for this to continue and see how he can improve even more so.
Well, when we meet with the team later on this week, we'll discuss these, Derek with them, and that we want to keep the intervention the same, and we'll celebrate his success.
Well, that sounds wonderful.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Hollingsworth, welcome back to our problem-solving team.
And thank you for having me.
Okay. And our purpose of our meeting today is to go ahead and review Derek's progress that he's made in the 6 weeks. As you remember back with the initial meeting, we talked about putting a targeted intervention with fluency to increase Derek's fluency through the intervention.
Well, I'll go ahead and mention some of his strengths and his progress, how he's doing in the classroom. I'm very pleased with Derek's progress. He's improved in a lot of areas. He's just positive attitude in class. His motivation has increased. He's showing a great interest in his reading.
How's he doing on your classroom assessments?
Overall, classroom assessments, he's also improved in that area. I know the last time we met, he was reading about 40 words a minute. The last time we doubled Derek, he read about 68 words per minute, which is a great improvement.
The intervention that we put in place for Derek's fluency was with Tanya. He is meeting in a small group with her 4 days a week for about 15 minutes in the back of the classroom. So Tanya, if you would report on what you're seeing during your intervention time.
Sure. Basically, with the intervention that I was doing, before we start a passage, we have the student do a cold read. That means they've never seen the passage before. And Derek read 46 correct words per minute. But what we do is we take this score here and we add 40 words to establish what his goal would be. And his goal would have been 86 correct words per minute. So then, as you can see, as each day with the repeated readings, Derek has responded to this intervention nicely, whereby he is increasing his fluency. Once Derek reaches that goal, then we go ahead and go to another passage, which again is an independent reading, and starting with a cold read, and then build that fluency as well to 40 words. So this indicates that Derek has responded nicely to the repeated readings that we put in place for him with the modeling first.
Excellent.
And Tanya, you're also progress monitoring him weekly. So can you report on what you're seeing in his progress monitoring?
I can. And then similar, Mr. Hollingsworth, we're showing that with again, we established his goal at 93 correct words per minute, and Derek is reading right about the 75 correct words per minute, which also aligns nicely with what the teachers are receiving with the DIBELS progress monitoring also.
Very good.
And when we look at where Derek is now, as opposed to when we first met, Derek's gap was about a 2.3, and right now it's at a 1.5. So he is closing the gap between where he needs to be and where he is. And the really exciting thing about that is that the target has actually increased to the end of your target at this point. We're looking at 118 words per minute, and now Derek is reading 75 words per minute. So we're seeing that his gap is decreasing.
And then I'd like to add also is with this progress monitor, you have to keep in mind is Derek has taken control of this himself. And I also see the enthusiasm with his reading. He's always watching where his graph is, how much further does he need to go to reach his goal. So this is his responsibility, and he really likes this and challenges himself daily.
I'm curious, I know you work with him at home pretty much every morning. How's it going?
Well, we're still doing reading in the morning at home for 30 minutes, but now with all of you all's help, he's not finding reading a chore anymore. It's a joy that he even grabs me on the weekend, Saturdays, Sundays. Dad, come here, let me read this book to you. So that makes me very, very happy just to see, because reading should be a joy instead of a chore.
That's great.
And we do appreciate your support, Mr. Hollingsworth, and that's what we want to see, is for him to continue with that positive attitude and have a great interest in his reading.
So based on what I'm hearing today, it seems like we can really keep this intervention in place for Derek. It's being successful for him, and just to continue to see that growth that Derek has been showing. Does everyone agree that this is something we can keep in place?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so Mr. Hollingsworth will keep this in place for another 6 weeks, and in 6 weeks we'll meet again to review Derek's progress, to watch and make sure that this is still what he needs so that he continues to make progress.
And I look forward to it.
Thank you.
And that meeting will take place just shortly before spring break. So, okay.